fast. And Nyx Assassin doesn't even need too much gold, and he can jump you quite well. Like, with the EOD, of course, you can just BKB up preemptively and nothing happens. But Nyx can just sneak up on you if you don't have vision, stun you up, and burn your mana. It's not a good pickup here. I do like the Phantom Lancer, though, very nicely from VG. RNG doesn't really have any great AoE clear right now, so PL should be able to really just sneak up and do what it wants this entire game, unless the last pick from RNG really fixes that issue.
I imagine they'll look into it. Of course, that PL, like, it isn't so much within the meta anymore, but it does pop out here and there, and it still is a powerhouse, these Phantom Lancers. Like, it's very hard to deal with them. And like you said, the draft so far from RNG isn't really suited towards dealing with a Phantom Lancer, but again, they have one more pick. They could turn that around just a bit, but the only pick remaining is really their safe lane carry. So, like, what could you really go for here to deal with that? I guess you could argue the Ember is available if they wanted to go for the Ember Spirit, but it doesn't feel like that's just a direct counter towards it. It's more so like a slight way to deal with the PL.
I think the Ember does quite well against PL, though, although it's a bit hard playing Ember against the Disruptor. If the Disruptor plays his cards right, you're in a spot of trouble, especially once Disruptor hits 6. If VG does give enough space to Disruptor to get that level 6 quite fast, it could be hard for an Ember Spirit on RNG side. So I'm not sure if that's a viable pickup for them right now.
Well, I suppose it was a very nice ban from Vici Gaming. One of the heroes I didn't really think about, the Void, would have been a decent counter with that Chronosphere available, but won't be available any longer. Vici Gaming, last pick for them. They will go for the Centaur again, and you can't blame them. Yang had a fantastic game. His laning phase went great. He outfarmed everybody on the map. It just didn't translate to enough. And again, I do put that down to the fact that RNG just had this real surprise factor of being so aggressive early on with the draft that generally goes late.
10 seconds
Vici Gaming perhaps weren't prepared for that.
5 seconds remaining.
This time around, Centaur on Yang, can't blame them at all. RNG, however, one pick left. That PL still looks very, very menacing. Side of Raw Never Give Up. How do you deal with it on the Radiant side?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an issue. There are a few options. I'm not sure if you go for the Medusa yourself, it is a bit of an issue against the PL because of all the Diffusal Blades coming out. I think Mirana does okay. It does okay in clearing out the illusions early on. As you approach that late game, kind of gets a bit iffy, especially when PL gets really tanky. It does get a bit hard to identify the real one either way. Maybe something like Alina could pop out. That is an option, although I don't know. I'm not sure how you fit that into this draft. You already have a mid here in the OD. I don't think you want to run it in the safe. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something like a Spectre coming out here. It seems a bit odd, but I think that is a matchup we've seen every now and again. And depending on how the laning phase, that one's a bit more of a toss. Depends on how well Spectre's laning phase goes and who's fatter in terms of items. If Spectre can take that lead, it does get a bit hard for the PL to kind of match up, I think, especially since, you're doing so much damage to her and she's just going to keep dispersing it back to you. That, I believe that is a pick that has popped in 4, but looks like RNG is also thinking quite hard about what they want here.
I can't blame them. It does look like a difficult draft, and again, like, see that last pick, Centaur? They know how good of a game Yang had last time around. So many things to deal with, but most of all, those last 2 picks from Vici really putting a spanner in the works for RNG.
Choose your hero.
That's an interesting one.
Okay.
So perhaps
Not
it's not a matter of
negative, but-
dealing with the PL, John. Perhaps it's just a matter of ignoring the PL, or alternatively, just finishing the game faster. Or I don't know. Like, AM again isn't one of those heroes that generally tries to finish the game fast, but then again, Medusa is way worse in that aspect. So I don't really know what the plan is here from RNG. I just imagine they're going to surprise us once again.
I'll be honest with you, I kind of like RNG's draft a bit more. I wish I could peg it down to why, really, but I just feel like you don't really have a good way of keeping AM in, Mike. And think about it. All you really have is a Stomp from Yang, and I guess Static Storm from DY, really, to keep AM stuck in one spot. Otherwise, if Paparazzi's going to man fight Monet, he's just going to blink out. So in the end, the fact that you can't blow up Paparazzi isn't an issue because Paparazzi can't blow up Monet.
But isn't Disruptor arguably a pretty good counter up against the AM, like the Glimpse and the Static Storm? Like, isn't that considered pretty good for the anti-mage?
I mean, you'd have to expend that ultimate every time early on, and
yeah,
it is something you could, yeah, it's something you could call counter, but I feel like you're going to be depending a lot on Disruptor actually living through that. I mean, for all we know, Monet prioritizes DY jumping in. It's not too hard to blow up a Disruptor as an AM. Sure, you could say, yeah, Static Storm's great against AM. Static Storm is great against literally every single hero, though. It's an AoE Doom, basically. So I don't think that really counts for much when you're talking about the matchup. It's amazing, yes, but I think depending on how Monet plays it, he could probably just dodge those glimpses as well. All comes down to playstyle here, and I have to be frank, just taking out all those factors and looking at AM against PL in a vacuum, which is really not the way you should compare these heroes, by the way, but I'm just going to do it. I feel like AM is actually, yeah, I mean, he has an edge. He can push a bit better. He can jump in and out much easier, and he could probably take your backline easier than a PL could. So I do feel like this last pick AM could work out quite well for RNG, as long as they give Monet a good start.
On the other side of things, though, it could just fall apart. Because, again, they don't really have the counter for PL, right? Like, the PL is still going to be a problem eventually.
Yeah, I know. I feel like OD can kind of control that as long as he gets a decent amount of stacks of Int with Arcane Orb before dropping the Sanity's Eclipse. And that's one really fast way of clearing out PL illusions.
Fair point. I guess we'll just wait and see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely so. But, I believe the Orb does pretty decent damage against... I mean, it melts those illusions quite faster because of pure damage, so... You do have some ways. It's definitely not fast and definitely not ideal for RNG, but at the same time, VG doesn't have the best way of controlling an AM, keeping him in place outside of Glimpse and Static Storm. Maybe Yang as well with his Hoof Stomp, although that's not the most reliable.
Well, the game has started. DY. Pop a bit of harassment from Monet on that anti-mage. Like each team will just take their two respective boundary runes and back off to the laning phase. Flyby again, gonna find himself solo in that off lane for the moment. Arfu perhaps looking to rotate through mid early on. Or he could just return top as well if he really wanted. But currently somewhat indecisive. And Paparazzi and Fade up at that top lane. So no real way to deal with them at the moment. I guess like theoretically Paparazzi should have an okay lane. I suppose those boars are going to be relatively annoying, but not so much that it should cost him in life, I feel. But we'll find out. Yang, though, bot lane, copping a lot of harassment out of Monet and, of course, Mad on that Undying. Already forced to use a salve very early on. Of course, this is just going to continue from Mad, who remains in that tree line. Though he does show himself to DY now. Very low HP, a lot of decay stacks. And it looks like he's more than happy to try and risk it for a bit more harassment.
Yeah, I think basically as in dying, as long as you eat through your entire mana pool before dying in this early laning phase, you should be alright with actually giving up yourself. Because, again, undying with no mana in lane is kind of a hindrance, really.
Does certainly run out of mana. Does have a mango available, but we'll back off for the moment. This does leave Monet pretty open to harassment from Yang and DY, however. And it looks like Mad is going for the denial at the T2 tower. So fairly standard stuff. He'll respawn pretty quickly. Well, Arfu making a quick chase onto Fade. Though Monet again falling very low on that anti-mage. And be very wary while that Undying isn't around, that he doesn't overextend too much. Of course, Mad will return and begin the harassment all over again. So Monet forward, white, He's level 2, but doesn't really have the mana pool right now to get the glimpse off if he really wanted it. And yeah, they'll just trade harassment for the moment.
It has been a bit of a rough time for Monet here, falling a bit behind on the scoreboard right now in terms of last hits. Definitely not doing as well as Paparazzi up top, but I think that is kind of to be expected. In AM, it's probably one for weaker laners, especially against a really tanky lineup like this. Very susceptible to harass damage, and drops really low when he's living on the edge here.
Yeah, the Thunder Strike's coming in. It's just really annoying harassment coming out from DY, but he's going to have to deal with it, and he already went for the level 1 encounter spell. Yang, nice hoof stomp, and they are going to find the first blood onto Mad. And he was continuing those decays up, but he was playing with fire, and Yang just decides he's going to turn around and get the hoof stomp off, and well, it was enough damage after all with those right clicks.
Yeah, a bit overconfident from Mad, maybe just kind of overextending just a fair bit. But I guess, you know, that does send you home for free, I guess. That's one upside. He comes back into full mana, full HP, ready to just do everything all over again, I guess.
Yeah. Paparazzi continuing to basically free farm, although Flyby getting those levels up now. Those double balls become a hell of a lot more difficult to deal with, as something like a PL hasn't opted for any levels in Doppelganger, though he doesn't really seem to need it. Not really much lockdown up until Flyby hits that level 6 mark with that Roar. But they will have a go now onto the Tusk instead, and Fade could find himself in trouble. I don't think they have enough damage, and they won't, but the harassment will be enough, and Fade, he'll just have to eat some tangos and heal up over time.
Yeah, overall, pretty passive leaning so far. Both teams just kind of satisfied with poking each other for a bit and trying to get their course and farm. I think that is working in favor of VG right now, as Monet, again, isn't doing too well in this bot lane. Not getting as much farm as he'd want to. Not the roughest of starts for AM, but again, not the brightest of starts either.
Nate. Trying to catch up a bit in those last hits. But again, Yang and DY just doing a fantastic job in ensuring he's shut down as much as possible. Certainly don't feel very safe whatsoever. You find Mad, again, very low in HP. Will go for the bounty runes and does eat a mango so he can contest DY. But DY will be able to get his own one on his own side of the map. So again, it'll be a 2-for-2 trade on those bounties. And the score remains 0-2. Of course, one of those was a deny by Mad though. There's really just one kill for the moment on the side of Vici. Again, it's one of those things, right? Like, up until we see those level 6s coming up, you're probably not going to see many things happening on the map.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit slow again. You do want some levels up on your two supports on RNG before they start roaming around. I think the key thing here is Nyx 6 and Tusk as well. Been satisfied enough keeping that top lane in check, which is a fair enough point. Although I feel like he could be a bit more active, but I guess the OD is not the easiest target in the world.
Certainly not the case. For Setsu, he's been playing fantastic throughout all these games. Looks like Paparazzi actually going to fall very low thanks to Arfu. But Arfu will end up losing his own life, and DY will claim that for himself. Of course, Paparazzi is forced to run back to his shrine. Setsu getting very lucky with that haste rune. Almost losing his life to Fade and the Pugna in the mid lane, but again, will be very lucky and will be able to shrine up if he so chooses. Of course, he will go for that.
I think the haste rune was denied there.
Yeah, I believe you're right. He looked a bit faster than usual, but you are correct. It was actually denied. It looks like he just outran them.
Yeah, he's a fast flying horse creature thing.
Astral is there onto the Tusk. The stun not timed perfectly, but they do get Ori on that Pugna. It does look like it's just a bit of protection for Setsu. They will be able to just walk out of there safely. Paparazzi though, really starting to pull ahead on that PL. Does have the double Wraith Band going on now, going straight for those treads. Again, these peels, they're so scary throughout that mid to late game if they get a really good laning stage, which, I mean, this is basically a free lane for Paparazzi right now. Like, this is all you could ask for as a Phantom Lancer. G Gaming is playing the warding game right now as well.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Starting to try and get that aggression going over the map. They're gonna try and make a play onto Flyby. Does have help in the form of Arfu. There are 3 heroes on their way. They do go for the stun onto Paparazzi, but now with the stun gone, they know they can get an easy kill out onto the Beastmaster, and Flyby has absolutely nowhere to go, and there's no way Arfu can help. He's just forced to walk out of there and save his own life. Oh, mid lane. Ori falling very low. Setsu hoping he can get in range for that Astral. It doesn't look like he will be able to, although DY comes in. He will commit the Astral onto DY, but seeing that the Pugna sticks around, he does opt to back out.
That I may not falter in my flight.
Yeah, a bit risky to drop the hammer there, considering the presence of that. That reward, of course, does hurt you a bit more than it does the Pugna at this point in the game. I do believe that this kind of gameplay is definitely, I don't know, it's pretty good from VG to apply this much pressure up top. I think the momentum of RNG does hang on Flyby to get some good timings on his levels and itemization. He's gonna have to be active in the map to set up these kills for the OD and the AM. So shutting him down early on is a pretty good move in my opinion.
Well, they jump in onto Setsu, but there's not quite enough damage. DY and Ori do back off, but again, they force, at the very least, Setsu to consider going back. Salve does go onto Arfu, and they will manage to get the tier 1 tower. So a very nice play from Ori, and with that, I mean, that's one of the strengths about the Pugna, is being able to take a quick tower and just start roaming around the map. Yang also ended up finding Monet solo at the bot lane.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Vici Gaming,
Yeah.
5-0 currently, 3k net worth lead at the 9.5 minute mark.
It's a bit of a rough start for RNG, definitely. Their lineup does need some time to come online. Even with that Undying support, I think the key factor here is your control in Nyx. It takes I'd say it's when Nyx is at level 6, that's when this really starts to shine. The Beastmaster is 6, Flyby does have his Primal Roar up, but it's not going to be enough just yet.
Mid lane, they found Setsu as well. This is the Vici Gaming we're more used to. DY is setting up quite a few kills across the map. Fade as well, of course, joining in. Yang now, I mean, he's had a great laning stage. They've already taken that bot tier 1 tower. They've already pretty much shut down Monet in comparison to the PL. And look at Yang's net worth again, John. He's at almost 5k, top of the net worth board. And this is the reason why they give this man the Centaur. Like, he just plays it fantastically.
Yeah, he definitely does. We saw it in the last game. We're seeing it in this game as well. He just hits its timings really good. And he does shake up his itemization a fair bit too, you know, this time around, rushing the Blink Dagger instead, knowing that his team does need that initiation, does need a way to jump Monet if ever they spot him out, and really just have a way of keeping that AM in place to take out, and pretty much any target to keep in place as well. So I do like the shake-up from Yang. And again, it's a pretty clean opening for VG, 0-6 so far, 4k network lead at 11 minutes in. It's a good start to have, and it's certainly, you know, it cements you in transitioning to that mid game now.
Arfu, just a couple impales this game, and well, Static Storm comes out. Monet trying to go for a gank attempt on the Pugna, but again, DY just in the right position, and there's that Static Storm coming into play. Like, Vici Gaming is all over RNG this game.
Yeah, again, it comes down to this entire game comes down to how well the lanes go, and if RNG had a good start, I feel like Monet would be much better off. He'd have his battle feud within the next 2 minutes, but that's not the case here. VG definitely played their cards right. They applied a lot of pressure towards Monet. They applied a lot of pressure towards top as well, and basically really just drawing even in mid. And I think in the end that really does win them out here. 0-7 is really good at 12 minutes in, Mike, I have to say.
Yep, certainly so. Not to mention the 5k net worth lead. at the 12-minute mark. They found Mad as well mid lane, and I mean that Walrus punch literally took over half his HP. Like Mad is just, I guess that's the thing with Undying, you know, they do tend to drop off, but he's almost 4 levels behind a Fade on that task. That is kind of insane.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, a level 4 Undying really just can't do too much.
Setsu mid lane, came into farm a bit, but immediately Yang was waiting for it, and he goes in with the Blink Hoof Stomp. Fade again, picking up another kill for himself. Now Life Drain is there onto the Undying. The poor guy just respawned, but he will go down. And Arfu comes in, a nice impale onto 2 heroes, and he will find Yang at the very least. But the glimpse is there, and he's going to pay for that with his life. Another hero going down for the side of RNG, and they may lose a tier 2 tower out of this. Though it does seem like the Pugna's out of mana.
It's a really rough time for RNG. They just seem to be streaming into Vici's aggression one by one, which is really not what you need here. It's almost a stark contrast to game 1, really, just the way they're playing right now. It's a bit strange in comparison, but you know, it's definitely much better for VG. They're definitely playing to their strengths. They understand what they need to do in this game. They've bought a lot of space for Paparazzi to farm up, and he's growing really big now. Whereas in this time around, Monet is so far behind.
Yeah,
Not
and
even
they're going to go on
close
him
to
again.
Battlefield yet.
Hoof Stomp, Snowball is there. The Walrus punch as well. Static Storm won't make it in time, but Monet, was that a glimpse back? Yes, it was. As the blink animation's going, he gets glimpsed back, and the blink essentially happened, but the glimpse was there literally a millisecond afterwards. And Vici Gaming. This is kind of why I question that anti-mage pick, to be honest with you, John. Like, they're playing all around Monet. Paparazzi may get caught out, however. Arfu, though, going for the illusion. He realizes it's a fake, and he realizes Paparazzi's running towards the mid now. So while all that's happening, they've lost their top tier 1 tower. Paparazzi surely knows that something's wrong here, and he does get stunned up, but immediately those rotations come in. The Raw's been used. Does he have time to doppel? In fact, he won't. There is a Static Storm, however, and Flyby will get caught out, so they do at least punish for that kill onto Paparazzi. They're going for even more. Arfu actually going after the Centaur Yang. Although shards, they will connect perfectly from Fade. And now the Hoof Stomp as well. Yang's going to find another. In fact, they give it to Ori this time around on the Pugna. But a 2-14, and that net worth lead is not getting any smaller. 7k the way Vici Gaming right now.
Definitely so. It's really just well executed from VG. Even when RNG comes in with the strongest heroes they have at this point for roaming and ganking, just it doesn't feel like it comes out worthwhile. Just finding these kills like this in a pretty messy way, it's starting to look really rough for RNG. Neither their OD nor their AM is really set up to contest these team fights yet, and it's going to be a while until either hero is ready. So, you know, it's rough, I feel, but it comes down to execution. Again, VG is just playing. It's their game this time around, Mike.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Make it 9k net worth lead now for Vici. The Fusel Blade is up on Paparazzi. He is going straight into the Yasha, and he just needs about 350 gold for that. So things are going quite swimmingly. In fact, Paparazzi is literally about 3.5k ahead of Monet on that AM, and that is a very stark contrast. Nowhere near the Battle Fury at the moment, Monet. He's just had such a difficult game. But it's more so that Vici Gaming is really playing their lanes right. And look at Fade. He's just really harassing the hell out of Monet. In fact, he almost kills him off. Shards will not connect, but a good attempt. They don't realize Monet is still sitting in the tree line. And you've got to give credit to Monet for understanding those shards were coming and dodging it within that tree line. Mid lane. There may be an attempt here at a team fight for the side of RNG. They want to protect that mid-tier 2 tower. So they think better of it. I mean, all the heroes are basically there in that mid lane. But with that, Vici Gaming, they're going to go tier 3s right now. I mean, they want to give the same kind of treatment to the side of RNG that they just copped in game 1.
Yeah, I don't blame them. They have some really good time going on here. Pugna's really strong at the moment. and you have the sustain to really just chip away at this tower, so why not?
Oh, they found another one. They found Mad in the shards, and they got the Nyx Assassin Arfu. Nice impale out, but it won't be enough, and Mad's been caught as well. Life Drain is there. Can they finish him off? Yes, they can. Paparazzi finds him. Ooh, 17 minutes in, and I mean, again, they're just going to continue this push. Like, that's the strength about the Pugna. Just stand back and keep nether blasting while Yang tanks all the damage.
Yeah, basically there's really no reason to pull back here, and the team fight coming out from RNG is just not there yet. I mean, Setsu's not even coming up to help with the defense.
91% win probability according to Dota Plus. That is a big deal at this 17-minute mark. Of course, Monet again not bothering to try and defend. There's no point really. Won't get anything off, and they found Arfu mid lane. They dusted up. They knew he was around there somewhere, and in Arfu gonna get away. Shards are perfect again, and now the glimpse though, the side of RNG want to go for a team fight. Ori is the target, and he will end up losing his life, and now Monet joins in. They will only find a Pugna, but I suppose it's better than nothing.
Yeah, a kill's a kill, I guess, and when you're this far behind, every single one counts. At the very least, it goes to Monet as well. And they kind of break up Vici's offensive. They only lose out in their melee and Fury Tree, of course, but that's pretty significant. 18 minutes in, Monet is definitely going to have a hell of a game ahead of him as this AM. We'll see if he can bounce back. He's inching ever so closer towards that battlefield. The timing is definitely not ideal at this point in the game. And, you know, contrast that to Paparazzi right now. He has his Defusal Blade up. He's going to finish up his... I believe he had his Yasha. It was on the Courier. It just died.
Yeah.
His Yasha is going to be there when the Courier respawns. And he's also working towards that heart in a fairly good rate. That's going to be an issue for RNG. And I'm not sure if they can hold out long enough on Monet to overcome that.
Yeah, he's actually going to find Mad as well in that Undying, and he just realizes he's got a free kill in front of him. Mad completely alone right now in that jungle. He will end up getting taken down. Obviously not too big of a deal for Mad, but more so the fact that Paparazzi just finds himself even more gold on the map. Like, this heart is probably, at this rate, it's going to be up within 5 minutes. That's kind of insane, considering he's got the Defusal Yasha and the heart, you know, before the 25-minute mark, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rate of farm coming out for Paparazzi this time around. And, you know, it's a good sign for VG. Looks like they do still have some life left in them. They've really put on, you know, it's almost one-sided here for VG. It's pretty much one-sided for VG here. RNG just kind of falling apart with this draft. Not really making this AM work. And their support picks, while interesting, I mean, I'm a big fan of Nyx. I'm a big fan of Undying. Just not really showing us the power of that here in this game so far, Mike.
I mean, they've certainly been trying. Like, you see Arfu constantly making the rotations, constantly trying to scout out, but Vici Gaming are just all over it this game. And now Flyby pushing down the bot T1. He knew they were coming, but they knew exactly where he blinked into, and they'll find another kill, cancelling that TP off, and now they'll be able to actually go for a deny on the T1 tower if they wish to do so. But for the moment, they'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, it's not a good time for RNG. Can't even get that split push going with their Beastmaster. Really good game sense from Yang, of course, seeking that out, getting a perfect Koof Stomp and canceling that TP. But yeah, it's a rough time for RNG. Their mid lane will always constantly shove in. They only have so much space to farm for both the OD and the AM now. And it's getting a bit worrisome. Ideally, as the AM in this kind of lineup, you want to be playing ahead. And
Mad.
Monet is just so far behind.
Gets caught out again top lane. Fade, he found him, and DY was there with the glimpse, and now they found Setsu. Mind you, Setsu does have a full 10-second BKB available now. But Setsu has been finding some form of farm in this game, although they've been so far behind, but I don't know how much it matters. I mean, Vici Gaming. Like, Paparazzi's not going to care for your BKB whatsoever. Gonna start moving in again. After that top tier 3 tower now, and why the hell not? They know they can't defend very well. Anti-Mage, he has the Battle Fury up, but that is not really a fighting item. It's meant to be used for farming. They will end up losing a tier 3 tower at the very least, although they do fortify. That does give time for Monet to go and snipe that tier 1 bot tower. But Netherblast will take down the tier 3. Fu, meanwhile, sneaking behind the lines of Vici Gaming, trying to find the pick off. He gets one impale off. Static Storm is there though. Setsu, he BKBs up immediately, and Fu, he's able to get out of there just barely, although Flyby is already gone, and now they turn around and go for even more on the side of Vici. They found Fu, they found Mad. Can they do the damage? Absolutely. They found 3 on the side of RNG, and now they can go for that top racks pretty darn safely without really any concern. In fact, they're going to find another one. Fu, he went close to try and slow this down. The Sanity's Monet. He finds Ori. That's a big pickoff, but they might lose Setsu, and they've already lost Fu on that Nyx Assassin. Setsu, no real way to get out of this one. He gets glimpsed back, and he's dead. Monet has to back off. He cannot defend this on his own.
Radiant's top barracks has fallen. Radiant's top barracks has fallen.
I mean, RNG now 2 racks behind. Really good. Again, just really well executed from VG. Really punishing this lineup from RNG and not giving them the opening that they would need to come back in this game. But RNG, you know, not throwing the towel in yet. They know they've still got some fight in them. They're going to keep riding it out. And honestly, I feel like they just need a couple more kills on Monet, and maybe you might get to that point where Monet can pressure the lanes by himself quite well. Right now, it's not there yet. He doesn't even have his Manta style up yet. It's a rough ride for him to really just basically do anything in this game so far.
Yeah. It does feel like one of those games where Monet may have to start, you know, committing some rat Dota to try and pull them back into this one. Not going to be easy, though, while your 2 racks is down. And I mean, you look at Paparazzi. He's got the heart up now, John, at 23 minutes into the game. He's going for a Manta next, and they smoke up immediately, because why the hell not? Like, how do you actually kill a Phantom Lancer with a heart, Diffusal, and Yasha up at the 23-minute mark? Well, Yang, he'll get the fight started anyway. Mad gets caught out on that Undying. Not too big of a deal for the side of RNG, but it feels like they do need every man they can get right now. PG immediately start going into the base once again, and they're going to go for that final racks at the bot lane. This may be the final defense coming up from RNG here. They do jump onto Fu in the backlines immediately, though. Setsu trying to fight Paparazzi, but it's no good. He does know what the real one is. Now they found Flyby as well in that Static Storm, and the Beastmaster's gone once again. They have buyback, but they call GG. I mean, they're 16k behind.
Yeah, it's basically what happened to VG in Game 1, happens to RNG in Game 2, and that gives us our first actual Game 3 coming up next. Mike, I'm interested to see how both teams play, because honestly, they've both just wiped the floors with each other in the back-to-back. Like, RNG wipes it with VG, VG wipes it with RNG. I'm not sure what Game 3 will give us, Mike.
It'd be a fun one, nevertheless. Like, each game, like you said, has been one-sided, but it just shows that both these teams have that potential. And it really just seems like it's maybe just up to the draft. After these 2 games, you could probably assume that both these teams are quite equal in terms of skill. And, well, arguably, like, again, I did find that AM pick a bit strange, John. Naturally, it didn't end up working out for them. Now, arguably, of course, you made the point that the Nyx Assassin and Undying support duo wasn't really working either, which is very true, but Vici Gaming, I think after that game 1, they woke up a bit and they got pretty darn serious about this. So, game number 3, ladies and gentlemen, the final game of the night will be coming up in just a moment. Please do stick around, and we hope you're enjoying. Here's MLPdota and johnxfire. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.